Welcome to the Daily Jerry Anderson podcast, which today plods on by beginning with as mundane a topic as can be thought of as an opening item, namely a question as old as time itself and the stalwart of broadcasters who can't think of anything interesting to say. That is, what's your favourite film? Notice the expert padding. Dear very old swan neck, I haven't seen The King's Speech yet. That's all over the place last night. Yet, so I'll reserve my judgment, yeah, believe me. But since your considered opinion that it's crap, yes, it is crap, may I suggest you let Sean watch it and give his critique. If he likes it, it is crap. People think Oscars go to great films, but I Google for Oscar-winning films, and they include Four Weddings and a Funeral, Braveheart, and Forrest Gump. My favourite film of all time at the moment...
You like that expression, don't you?
I love it, because I once heard a man on radio also saying that. My favourite record of all time at the moment is... his favourite film of all time at the moment is Fargo. Did you ever see Fargo?
No.
Fargo's a very good film. Or maybe 12 Angry Men. What's your favourite? He wants to know what my favourite film is.
Well, no, you've just mentioned one there now. 12 Angry Men.
Is that one of your favourite films?
Oh, stop
If I was to ask you now, what is your most favourite film, what's the first thing comes to mind? What would you say? Magnificent Seven?
No, I don't like cowboys. I don't like anything to do with the West at
Okay,
all.
that's all right. That's your prejudice. Can you think? Well, no, it doesn't matter if you can't. I'm just asking you, what's the first thing that occurs to you?
You see, you've put 12 Angry Men into it's great.
Was that the one? Was that the one that would have occurred to you if I'd asked you if I hadn't mentioned 12 Angry Men?
No, and I would have thought fleetingly of Brief Encounter. I thought that was great.
That's your feminine side coming through.
It's
a love story.
Yes, but it's great.
It's unusual you should pick that.
Mm-hmm.
How revealing that is.
Is that right?
That you know that you haven't got a romantic soul. I would have thought that.
On the comedy side, it's a mad world. That one. And support your local sheriff.
All 60s movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's okay. I understand that. That's when you peaked.
But apart from that...
Ask me what my favourite movie is of all time.
Tell us this, Jerry. What's your favourite movie of all time?
My favourite... Funny, thank you, Sean, for asking me that. Many people ask me that, and sometimes I hesitate. But today, I have no hesitation whatsoever. What is it you asked me?
What's your favourite film of all time?
Okay, let me consider that. My favourite film of all time at the moment has to be a film which is more of a play than a film, but I went to see it one time, and I have to say that if pushed, I'd say this is my favourite film of all time. If somebody said to me, I want you to go on this desert island, you're not going out of there for a very long time, but we'll give you this one film and a DVD. Which film would you prefer to bring with you? I would say it's this one. And do you want me to name it, Sean?
Yes, what is your favourite film of all time?
Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, stop it.
It is.
Yes, I want that too as well.
It's my favourite film.
That's very good, yes.
The presenter then reaches deep within himself to once again relive past humiliations on Radio 4. He too could be a regular on popular panel shows, but as he explains, there is something genetically wrong with him at a fundamental level. Well, you know, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I have been asked to go on those shows.
And why?
I've always refused.
Why?
Well, I got into trouble one time for describing one of those shows as such. You see, I can't be part of any ensemble. There's something deep in my nature that rebels against panel shows. I can't do them. I've tried them before.
I think it's a shyness.
No, I just don't like the people in them. And I don't like being in the middle, and I don't like the competitiveness, and I don't like sitting trying to be funny and trying to be smart and trying to be clever with people trying to get one over you. Now, I've been asked to be on these shows, and I've always said no. As a matter of fact, the first time a gentleman ever asked me to go on one of those shows, a gentleman who was very high up in the BBC, he said, would you like to go on this particular show? And I said, no, I don't really want to. And he said, why not? I said, because I can't Twitter. Now, this is before Twitter. And he says, Twitter?
Yeah.
Twitter? And then I had to explain to him what Twittering is. And it's a very English thing, and we Irish don't do it. Irish people don't Twitter, except some people do in Hillsborough. It's this kind of talking about nothing. We do it, we banter each other, but we don't do it. It's a very English thing. It's called Twittering. It's like Sandy Toksvig does it. And it's in the One Show all the time. The One Show is all Twittering. And you see, we can't do that. And I can't be part of a Twitter. And once I'm amongst Twittering people, I kind of shrivel up and die. Although I might enjoy listening to Radio 4, this does not mean that I've forgiven them for what they did to you. They didn't do anything to me. I did it to myself. Stoke City is rightly but sadly famous for being a point of departure for those forced to emigrate to greener pastures. By sail and rail, they fled this ancient city, leaving behind those whom they loved. On the plus side, they also left behind the people that they didn't like, which is always a bonus.
I never liked train stations, nor bus depots.
That's because it reminded you of the time when you were an immigrant and had to go to Birmingham to ply your trade away from the dole and the greyness that was Derry-Londonderry.
I always feel that when I get to a train station, or indeed a bus depot, but in particular a train station, that I have to get on that train immediately. I arrive there. You know, there's no time for buying a paper. There's no time for going to the bathroom. There's no time for anything. You get your ticket and it's a mad dive to get on that train to get... Because I always think the trains want to sneak out without you and leave you.
Has the train pulled out today from Derry City? What's the next line?
1,000 memories linger in my mind.
1,000 memories linger in my mind.
Why do I have to go?
Why do I have to go?
It's such a pity.
It's such a pity.
And all the dear old friends I leave
And
behind.
all the dear old friends I left behind.
Would you not feel the same way?
What's
Would
the
you
next
want
line?
more?
Yeah.
As I gaze beyond the... As I gaze beyond the harbour, I'm recalling.
As I gaze beyond the harbour, I'm recalling
Familiar names.
I know this one. Familiar names like Doherty and Coyle.
Through misty eyes, I feel...
Through misty eyes,
I feel a teardrop burning.
I feel a teardrop burning.
Goodbye to my old hometown.
Goodbye to my old hometown on the file.
That's very good.
Do you hear the emotion there?
Yeah, yeah.
One of the signs of approaching death is suddenly noticing the mundane, the everyday, and the commonplace. Sights that have surrounded a person for a lifetime are suddenly magical, like the back of one's hand or the common flora and fauna of our greenish land.
Do you know what I've taken an interest in now?
I can't imagine.
Birds.
Women?
No, wee birds.
Or little tiny birds.
Aye.
That's a sign of approaching death. Alex Guinness, the well-known actor, when he realised he was terminally ill, he comforted himself by looking out the window and seeing all the birds and said to himself, well, they don't seem to care what happens the next day because they live for the moment. I may as well do the same. That's what you're doing. You're trying to put off your impending death.
No, I'm trying to identify these little birds. To me, they're all chaffinches. And I don't even know what it is. It's just a name that I
just
have.
like the word chaffinch?
I have in my head. Aye.
Well, let everybody be chaffinch. Like saying that everybody's Maltese.
No, there's a wee boy. There's a wee boy hanging onto the hedge the other morning, and he had a yellow breast. And nice yellow and green colours, and he was lovely. And I just
you should have shot it, yeah.
I wonder what you are. And then there's a wee boy sitting looking in the post, looking in at me this morning. And he was grey and black and lovely, lovely colours.
You need one of them guns that Ashley Cole has.
No, I don't want that.
No. Listen, a gentleman writes to me and he says, did you not appear on a game show with Eamon Holmes at one time?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, that was different. I'm talking about... that was different. That's where they make fetches and stuff like that. You do that because they give you loads of money. But you're not going to sit in a talk show on Radio 4 with Sandy Toxvig and Giles Brandreth and Marcus Brigstock. For God's sake, woman, have a bit of sense. That's different entirely. Do you know, that reminds me of... that was the first time I ever realised what it takes to be good on television. Eamon Holmes, we did a programme, I think it was on UTV, it was called, what was it called? Mix Maxter or something, whatever it was
all
called.
mixed up.
Oh, that was very good.
I was quite vexed. You know, I was never asked.
You're never asked to be
No,
on
they
that.
kept asking you.
Well, it was a moment of madness. Remember on UTV used to make programmes. Hello, darling! That's what they do now. Oh, you know you want to. Name that word. Anyway, Eamon Holmes, when I first went down to do a few of those, Eamon Holmes was the presenter. And Eamon Holmes, very nice guy. And what happens is you do about 4 or 5 of them one after the other. You know, it's like a kind of an assembly line. And the audience is wheeled in and they're bored stupid. But they like They like it because they can sit and watch him at home. They say, God, look at him. He's great. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. So anyway, at the start of the programme, you see Eamon stands there and he goes on and does his spiel and then you go on. But you stand there for a moment with him. You see, and I've been chatting to him. I'd been talking to him during the day, of course. Everything was okay and we're all scruffy. You know, wearing your old jeans and stuff like that. And then you get cleaned up when you're on the TV. And then you go on the TV and you're cleaned up. So I'm standing there and beside this monitor waiting to go on and Eamon comes out. And he looked as if he hadn't changed, you know. And his tie was funny, you know, and he hadn't shaved. And he hadn't even combed his hair. And I felt like saying, "There's Eamon. You're on the TV. You wouldn't do something with yourself." And I looked at him. I said, he's going to go on like that. And then he went on. I never said anything, of course. It's none of my business. And then he went on, and I looked at the monitor. He looked great. He looked great. There are certain people who've got a face like that. It doesn't matter what you do. You look great in television. I look terrible because I don't have that face.
Camera doesn't like you. Camera likes me.
It only likes you because you give it money. Politician Gregory Campbell is seldom called upon to comment upon the lingerie worn by dead women, but today seems to be his day.
You were mentioning Jane Russell's brassiere. What's the proper name for it, please?
Apparently, we've a number of people who said it's called a balcony bra, but I think that's the prelude to a joke. I said it was called the cantilever bra. Another gentleman who works in this programme said it's called a candelabra bra, but I think possibly that's not the right one. What do you think yourself? I think, well...
I don't particularly like talking about ladies' undergarments, especially live on Radio Ulster, Jerry.
Absolutely, it's not a thing you're used to. No. I just thought I'd draw you out on it, just to see if you have a view on it.
I don't like underwear. I don't like it at all. It should not be discussed.
What about the word drawers? Does that come to you easily? No. I don't want to push you on that, but Minister,
stop it.
If I may probe you, do you know what I hate people saying? If I may turn to you.
Aye.
Why do people start saying that?
I don't know.
If I may turn to you, Minister. Look, you're coughing. I feel terrible. I feel as if you're not long for this.
I'm all flushy now too.
You're terrible.
I'm
going to give you a break now.
Maggie.
I know I'm going to play a little curio here.
Maggie says she needs.
What?
She needs a frost-free fridge freezer, 55 inches high, and if you can get her one, she'll donate to your marathon fund.
Go on, say that again, will you?
Maggie needs a frost-free fridge freezer, 55
frost-free fridge freezer,
55 inches high.
Excellent. Thank you for listening. Back tomorrow.